Oh, that's great. Ricky Kalmon, great to see you. I'm so glad that you're on this morning in the Pipe Podcast. And of course, on the Pipe Podcast, what we talk about sales process, sales initiatives, sales prospecting and experiences. I couldn't be with a better friend and a better guest today than Ricky Kalmon. Hey, let's just for those that may not know you, or that are not familiar, with you and your organization, why don't you just give them a 10,000 foot view and
20-minute review.
Yeah, I went from 20,000 to 10,000. So, a 10,000 foot view to what part of the world you run, Ricky.
Well, Crispin, it's great to see you, my friend. Excited to be on the show here today. We're going to throw a lot of value at people. Sure, I'll share a little bit about my career, but at the end of the day, by the time somebody's done watching this, I want somebody to walk away a little bit more equipped today to have a better day, better week, better year, and maybe even enhance and explode their sales growth mindset and much, much more in their personal, professional life. How's that?
That's good. That's good.
My quick little commercial. My career started 30 plus years ago. I created a very unique comedy show for corporate events that was highly energetic, entertaining, politically correct, and so much more. It involved the group in such a way that it created conversations after the show that people wanted to know more about how to use what happened on stage for entertainment. How do we use it in our everyday life? By the way, if you haven't figured it out, I'm a hypnotist. So I did the opposite of hypnosis. I took away all the swinging watches and the mystical look to it all. And I just showed people what this simple state of relaxation can do. You're not being controlled. You're in control. And when you have more control over your own thoughts, you become a better version of yourself. That's powerful. And so over the years, I've created keynote programs, training programs, books, audio programs to help people excel in everything they do, from the simplicity of reducing stress, sleeping better, creating more confidence, self-esteem, getting out of their own way to create more growth. All happens between our ears.
Tell us a little bit about, your experiences and what resonates with, the whole mindset, mindset concept. And boy, that's kind of hard to say together. I don't know. I don't want to say that 3 times or 5 times fast. So the mindset concept and what resonates with, everything from large corporate organizations to medium-sized mom and pop, businesses, and all the way through, to some of your experiences with ESPN. What has that been like?
I think we're all fascinated with that playing field between our ears. And I'll use a sports analogy. Even just watching the Masters this last, yesterday. I mean, just mindset is everything. And I think it has to do with every decision, action, conclusion, argument, resolution, success, and even our failures. And I think that when we sit back and really observe the patterns and habits that we've created, some have served us very well in life. Some have become our traits, our personality. But some of the patterns and habits that we have can also hold us back from doing better, to achieving more, to thinking differently. And I think that that's the key. And so when I do programs, whether it starts with a show for fun or whether we move into a self-awareness program, you get people to start thinking differently. And my motto is change the way you think and you will change your world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Well, listen, sales can be stressful. I mean, there is no doubt, like you're up against numbers, quotas, and what corporate has laid down is sometimes not always attainable. We could talk for hours on goal setting and things of that nature, but this is a stressful game. So how do you, what do you recommend, or how do you help those individuals to manage their stress? Like, what are some of those things that you do?
Crispin, that's what you just set me up was perfect. Sales can be stressful. Sales can be frustrating. Okay, acknowledge it. That's fine, but only acknowledge it once. Now let's figure out the solution. Because if we dwell on that statement over and over again, our mindset hears it and lives out that thought process. So just humor me for a second. If you say, I can't do something, or sales is going to be frustrating, or this is overwhelming, I don't like change. I've been doing this the same way all the time. Then guess what? You will win to fail based on that belief that you've programmed yourself. And don't take the simplicity of what I'm saying for granted. I'm not if you continually just say the same thing, your mind hears it, believes it, wants to act on it. So, okay, sales is frustrating. All right, what are you going to do about it? Now, change that. Because if you start every day with, this is frustrating, this is overwhelming. It's Monday, by the way. Oh, it's Monday. How many people like last night said to themselves, I got to go to work tomorrow? Now, excuse the grammar, but I'm just saying, I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to get up tomorrow. How about I get to go to work tomorrow? How about I get to serve somebody? How about I get the opportunity to offer solutions to a client and make them the hero in a situation of growth? And by the way, we didn't even talk about sales. We didn't even talk about numbers at that point. We started talking about what I have purpose, I have passion. How can I help somebody tomorrow? And by the way, I'm in the position and I have an opportunity to help somebody. So when we say to ourselves, sales is frustrating, how about sales is frustrating, but there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity. And I think every day saying those words to me have made a difference in my life. Because by the way, I'll raise my hand. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. Ask my family. I will tell you that I have to reset and redirect like everybody else. But as a mindset guy, I'm telling you, when you acknowledge it once, now let's focus on, let's put all of our frustration into finding the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, what really resonates with me, what you said, and I wrote it down, when to fail. Like, how many times do we do that in our professional careers, in our personal lives? I mean, because not what you're talking about, it does not just fit into the box, right, of your professional career. What you're talking about is taking this, your mindset, and that also has application in your personal life. Let's explore that for a second, Ricky. I mean, how many of these individuals or organizations have you served that you've gone in and you've impacted the culture in such a dynamic way that it's also, impacted them personally and professionally? What does that look like?
Well, even last Thursday, and I say this because I remember this so clearly. Thursday morning, I woke up looking through my emails every single morning. That's what I normally do. I look through and I actually look at the emails, people asking me questions first. And this was not really directly a question, but it was more of a follow-up from a keynote that I did for a group of about 300 sales individuals. And on stage, I told a story about mindset and about being the brand ambassador. And this individual reached back out to me and said he did not realize how often his mindset took him to a place of an uncomfortable feeling or stress or overwhelming, if you will, direction until that story resonated with him. Without going into too much detail and not revealing anybody's confidentiality, he said to me, because normally I would have reacted differently. But by stepping back and sitting in the audience and observing what was going on around me, I was able to address a solution rather than focus on the problem based on the story and the example. And he said, this rolled over to my personal and professional life. All too often, we're quick to react because our mindset is already bringing forward a reaction or a decision without thinking about whether that is the right decision or action to the situation. So I bring my entertainment side to this. I will try to project this to my audience and my sales teams, my leaders, and my executives. Step back, sit in the audience, and observe yourself before it happens, before you react. See what the best solution is to the situation and understand, and you can almost play it out like you're almost watching a video screen of yourself. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but sometimes if we just take a pause, like an athlete, like an executive before a speech or before commanding an audience or leading people, lead within ourselves first, because I think that great leaders lead within themselves and they lead better to others.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. It's just awesome. I mean,
Well, I laugh because,
I got to tell you, I hope somebody's writing this stuff down today because this is valuable stuff.
I'm going to throw you a lot of stuff here today. I'm going to throw you a lot of stuff here. And I think that, again, whether you're driving, and I hope you're not watching if you're driving, but if you're sitting at your desk and you want to start your day with Crispin and the pipeline, I hope that we give you value and that we give you little nuggets that you don't leave on the floor. I want you to pick up those nuggets. Those are pearls now.
That's right.
And again, I'm not trying to be cliche here, but these are great reminders. I mean, I go back to my teens of listening to Zig Ziglar, Tom Peters. I mean, I used to listen on the cassette tapes. I wore them out. Let's put it this way. My first car was a 77 Cutlass Supreme. I had an 8-track player that I converted to a cassette player. And I would literally listen over and over and over to the same programs. And again, this is back in cassettes. I mean, I was worried. One time I remember the cassette, I'm really dating myself. The tape was all messed up. And I literally started freaking out. Like, that's my golden goose, But I think when we repeat things, like if you're watching right now, thank you. Because you're the type of person that understands that self-discovery never ends. If you're watching, if you put everything aside and say, okay, I'm going to reset with Crispin today in the pipeline, I really want to understand how I can reset and redirect.
That's
I call it the pipeline, the pipe, You know what I mean? I think it's important that we just, hey, slow down sometimes. We invest in so many things in our lives, all very important. We throw money at our homes to protect them, to covet them, to fix them. We will throw money at things that are sheer entertainment. Invest in yourself.
It's so important. And when you go into like some of these large organizations, or even when you're, coaching with individuals one-on-one, I mean, is that something that you typically dig into? I mean, where you ask the question, what's the last book that you read? When's the last time that you invested in yourself? Like, what do you do to invest in yourself? I mean, are there some things that you could recommend to those that are watching and listening to say, hey, if you want to really invest in yourself, you should be doing these 1, 2, 3 things, either daily or weekly. What does that look like in your world?
Well, it's funny you say that because, Crispin, I think most people already know what they should be doing. Most people are pretty intelligent, especially if you're in business right now and you're in sales and you're in leadership. You got the job already, okay? You're there. You have the product, you have the service, and you pretty much know what you should be doing. Sometimes we just need to redirect, and when we do that, we start to get clear on our vision. But yes, one of the coaching programs, one of the things I say in my book, Leverage Your Mindset, my live programs, if you've sat in my live programs before we even get started, I ask you to give yourself a personal audit of how much time we spend on everything else in the world. And then I ask you to really start to analyze how much time you really spend in yourself. It's not an expense. It's an investment. Greatest investment you'll ever make, I think, in your life is when you invest in yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, Crispin. I don't get me wrong that investing in, nice things, your homes, cars, whatever they're important. I mean, sure, they make us feel good and they protect us and they covet us and they, we enjoy life. And listen, I've never met anybody that really says, I don't like nice things. But it doesn't take much to give yourself a little extra time. And it's not overwhelming if you just kind of make it a priority. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to pivot for a second. Today you showed up, I showed up. We're doing a live broadcast. It's on my calendar, your calendar, right? Right. Our producer in the back, Cris, it's on his calendar. You have an assistant, it's on her calendar. And rock star, by the way. I'm going to throw it out there. Brittany's awesome. We set calendar reminders in our society. Now these things are like our babies. We keep. I want to know the average person how far their phone is away from them most on a regular basis. Pretty close. My point is this: we set calendar reminders to hold ourselves accountable. We will literally show up. Now, what I'm asking you at the end of this program, and I'm going to remind you of this: make a calendar appointment with yourself. Set a reminder for yourself. One of the things I'm going to give it away now. Let's just talk about it. Do it. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, put it on your calendar, set the alarm, put the reminder on, whatever it is, block that time for you. Now, as we do this program, I'm going to kind of give you some insight of what to do during that 5 or 10 minutes. So don't go away. Don't turn off. But we're going to talk about 5 or 10 minutes a day, set a reminder, hold yourself accountable. By the way, you and I have blocked an hour here, Come on. I'm asking for 5 or 10 minutes of your time. So if somebody says to me, Ricky, I don't have time. I got too much to do. I got too much on my plate. Really? What are you going to do when you're not around? Meaning you're so stressed out that you cannot spend 5 minutes for yourself. And that's such a quick response. 5 minutes. So I'm going to challenge you, Crispin.
Okay.
5 minutes every day.
I'll do it.
We'll fill it in as we go.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's pivot shift gears for a second. So, hey, when you're meeting with these, Fortune 500 companies, when you're meeting with those individuals within those organizations, and they're talking about this year, they're talking about what to expect this year. And what are the 3 things, Ricky, that you would recommend that every company and maybe those individuals within the organizations, that serve those companies, what would you recommend that they do this year, to help, expand the organization, to help them grow? What are some of the things that they should be concentrating on this year to have a successful end of the year?
Well, we don't have a crystal ball. Mine broke a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the key elements, and I think that what we're seeing the last couple of years have been interesting and I think growing for us all. We got out of our comfort zone and we started to realize that mindset itself is not a soft skill. Mindset is a hard skill. Mindset now is a pivotal part of a structure of corporations if they want to win. They're realizing that it's not just some check mark. We're going to be mindful. We're going to say thank you. We're going to say be well. It goes beyond that type of thinking. And I think that the companies that really thrive, not survive, especially in the last several years, the ones that thrived understand the importance of investing in their teams. This goes beyond just the training of the materials and knowing the clients and looking at the data and figuring out what's new and becoming more creative and, looking for opportunities. We're talking about investing in the individual's well-being, mentally, physically, whatever it may be. But I think that when we start to invest in our individual leaders and sales teams on a different level versus just giving content, which is all too important, they're investing in the mental conditioning of individuals. So one of the things that I would say is this: mental conditioning is key. It's an ongoing thing. It's not this quick fix. You don't just have, a speech on mindset and go, okay, that's great. We did that last year. What do you want to talk about next year? It's a conditioning. Okay. So an athlete conditions their muscles on a regular basis, but superior winning athletes condition their mind at the same time. And then they work together to be successful. So if you're going to invest in your team, don't look at this as a quick fix. Don't look at this as a speech. And by the way, I don't give speeches. I don't give keynotes. When somebody says, okay, we have a keynote we want you to do. Well, okay, let me just ask you a question. When you say keynote, what are you looking for? Well, we want somebody to inspire people. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to tell you all right up front. I'm not going to give you a speech. I'm not going to stand behind a podium. I'm not going to read a script. And I'm not going to tell you about something I did to make everybody feel really good. I want to show you practical tools. And I hope that those tools resonate enough that people start using those tools in their personal, professional life. That's an investment now in your team. And by the way, this doesn't stop at the convention, the meeting, whatever. So it's an ongoing process. And we're going to talk about that. And if you think it fits your organization, if you want to invest in your team, then I would love to show you and partner with you. So this goes beyond a keynote. So investing in your team is important. I think becoming more aware of the things that are going on around us and how to perceive and react to those things. So number 2 is we can't control everything, but we can control how we perceive and react to the world that we're living in. So that's listening, it's reacting, it's resetting, things like that. 3, that's an interesting. What is the third thing that I think that the important thing is keep growing? I think it goes back to that crystal ball analogy for a second. I don't think we have the crystal ball. Nobody does. But I think that every day is a reset and redirect. And so when you say the new normal, well, isn't every day the new normal?
Right.
I mean, these unprecedented times. Well, isn't really every day kind of unprecedented because in a way you don't know? I mean, we're not in the back of the future. We don't know what's going to happen next week. I think being more present, I think, is the third thing. I think we need to be present today and not overthink tomorrow what we did yesterday. Be present. I mean, you and I are talking right now. You and I are just having a conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
We're present. I'm thinking about my emails, my lunch, or what I got to do by the end of the day. I'm just being present with you.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you and I become present, we build a relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. I got to tell you, I was thinking of you last week in the book and the things that you talk about so eloquently and that resonate so loudly in your book. I had a call from one of my sales reps on a team of a large organization that I serve, and it was Friday, and it was about 3:45 p.m. and my phone rings, and I'm the guy that answers my phone, like, and especially if it says spam, like I love answering those calls because I'm picking up the phone and there's somebody on the other line and they're reading the script and I'm like, okay, can I pick? And I grab my notepad and that was pretty good. I like that. And I'll take a little note there, or I'll like try to learn from what some of these other companies are doing and then also learn what we should never do. Like a lot of times when you can actually hear the pages of the script being turned in the background,
My goal, by the way, when a spam call comes, my goal is to sell a book.
Yeah. That's great.
By the time they're done, they're looking me up online and they're looking for my book. That's and then they hang up on me.
That's exactly. I love it. So I get a call and we'll just name him Joe. So Joe calls and he's like, "Hey, Crispin, you got a minute?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Joe, what's up?" And he's like, I got to book, at least 2 more appointments by the end of the day. And he said, and I've made 30 calls and I just, I'm just not getting it done. And he's like, and I've got to book at least 2 calls by the end of the day. And he's like, I just need 2 more. And I said, Joe, stop right there. I go, listen to what you just told me. Listen to what you just said to me. I go, you don't think that is resonating, that tonality, being that thirsty. I always say this, being that thirsty is not resonating with those prospects that you're talking to on the phone. I said, you don't think they're hearing that desperation? I said, I'm sure it's coming out in the way that you're saying things, your tonality. I go, listen, go outside, take 5 minutes, take a little walk. It's a beautiful day. Clear your head. Enjoy the fact that you're walking on 2 feet. You're enjoying this beautiful day, and you're out there and enjoy the fact that you're with one of the most, incredible, organizations. They're growing so rapidly right now, and you have all this opportunity. And then come back and pick up the phone and don't try to sell anyone anything. Just try to have a conversation. Just try to have a conversation, and then if it goes somewhere and there's a fit, then see if you can book them for a site visit, right? But if you're feeling all this pressure, then I guarantee you that's what you're putting out into the world. And that's impacting the way that you're engaging with your prospect. And he was like, thank you so much. He was like so thankful. So then I get a call at 5:15. He booked 4 more by the end of the day. He only needed 2. I mean, it's just so like, I know, and I say this often, Ricky, and I think even you and I have talked about it when I was on your show. Common sense is not common. Common sense is not common. And sometimes you need just to understand how to pull back. But how do you do that when you don't have someone to call like Crispin Cruz or Ricky Kalmon? How do you do that on your own? Like, just what are some tips or tricks to pull back when things are not just going the way that you're hoping for?
You've already set it up perfectly. Let's go back to that 5 or 10 minute, invite on your calendar. If you know that Fridays in the afternoon, you're going to be stressed, let's tackle it ahead of time. Let's manage it in a different way than what you were doing. Because every Friday, if you're saying, hey, it's the end of the day and I didn't meet my quota of my calls and my appointments and my scheduled meetings, then why don't you set that calendar to reset and redirect and take that breath of air and literally put there in a structure. At 3 o'clock every Friday, I'm going to stop, take a breath, figure out who I need to call, what my purpose, what my direction is, be present. Again, this isn't rocket science, folks, and we know this, but again, think of it this way. Our brain, it's like a massive hard drive computer running on software. That software guides our direction, our inspiration, our inflection, everything we do. And unconsciously, it acts without thinking on it. Because as we train our brain to learn math, communicate, know our products and our services, know our clients, it just takes that software and acts on it. But if your software gets corrupted by stress, frustration, overwhelming feelings, preconceived outcomes, beliefs, before it even happens, guess what? It acts on that. So if you're already assuming today is going to be a tough day, then guess what? Most likely it will be a tough day. You will then eventually confirm it by saying, see, I told you so.
That's exactly right.
But you're not going to be there for the client all the time. And I'm not going to be there for all the sales team all the time. So at the end of the day, I always tell people, your most powerful coach, your most powerful hypnotist, if you will, is yourself. And so when you acknowledge that, set it in your head that yes, like our software, like our phones, need to be reset, clear the cache, turn them off, get the update. So why aren't we doing that with our most powerful, most valuable asset that we have, and that's ourself?
It's so good. It's so good. So, all right, let's talk about the book. I got to talk.
Listen, I tell people all the time, sorry to interrupt you, but listen, folks, and again, you going back to, this isn't rocket science.
Right.
But athletes have coaches. Now, the coaches aren't performing. They're not out there on the field. They're not swinging the club. They're not swinging the bat. They're not catching the ball. They're there to help the athlete in what they don't see. And if the athlete is a great athlete, they're going to listen to the coach and they're going to apply the technique. And by the way, the coach then stands off to the side and says, okay, they're in the right direction. So as a mindset guy, I'm just telling people, okay, this is what I see. You figure out, this is your body. This is your life. This is your money. This is your business. You probably already know the direction. Let me just help you in that area of getting out of your own way.
That's great. That's great. All right, let's talk about the book. So as we're, as you're reading the book, as you're, going through all of the, and I'll call them nuggets. There's a ton of them in there. As you're going through this, what are you hoping that, the person that after they get to those last couple pages, Ricky, and you're hoping that they get at least 1, 2, or 3 things out of that book that really, that really resonated with them. What are you hoping that the reader gets out of this?
Well, Crispin, when I wrote this book, it was actually not my first book, but technically the first book published. 10 years ago, I wrote a book. It was about this thick. We're talking about 2.5, 3 inches in just content and just history. And it just was too, I looked and go, oh, this is awesome. And then I literally stepped back and go, oh my gosh, nobody's going to read this. This looks like a textbook and nobody really cares.
Right.
So I took the content and then I broke it up into different ideas and philosophies and techniques. And over the years, I tested it and worked on it and realized this is a lot easier than it needs to be. And the book itself, Leverage Your Mindset, came out with the aspect of just invest, just coming back again, go invest in yourself every day, 10 minutes a day, a chapter a day for 14 days. Okay, let me just repeat that. 14 days. A chapter a day, 10 minutes a day. If you read 2 chapters in one day, you're reading it wrong. I actually even tell you, stop. After each chapter, there's an action step. So you really get to little nuggets, as you refer to, every single chapter. And after that 14 days, you realize you've accomplished so much. You take those little nuggets and now you bank it. And wow, at the end of that 14 days, you've got a lot. And then there's a whole other direction after those 14 days. And I'm going to say it for the readers. So when you start to realize you're creating a new habit, a new direction that you're in control of, and I will say we all hold the remote control. We all hold the remote control to change the channel of our direction. We can turn down the volume. We can turn off the volume. We can change screens completely. You can pivot careers. You can do so much if you give yourself that visualization of understanding that I can do this. I got this. Yeah. I'm confident. I have the belief in what I can do. I'm really good at what I do. I mean, I feel good about myself right now. But you see where that goes? I mean, it goes beyond positive thinking. It's a culture way of living.
Yeah.
So yes, the book is a 14-day plan. And then after each chapter, I give you exercises, action steps. I call them progressive jumps. But you can also use my mobile app as a support product. So as you're listening to the audio programs that correlate with the chapter, you're reinforcing what you already read. And I'm actually giving you techniques within that. So that's a quick little plug. You can check out my mobile app that literally, and by the way, as you read the book, it actually gives you everything you need to actually download the app and everything else. The app is free to download. There are programs within the app if you want to dive into on another time, but the audio programs in the app for the book are free if you own the book. There's a password written in the book. So when you're in the app, you'll get to the book chapters and you can't unlock it unless you have the book.
It's great. It's great. Well, it's a treasure. I'm so glad. You did write it. And I'm so glad I didn't read the other one.
So am I. I actually still have it here in the studio. I can't, it's not in arm's reach, but yeah, it's pretty thick.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Well, this is the time.
One of the greatest compliments that I'm very humbled by it, but I was, a leader reached out to me and he goes, I have the greatest story for you. I'm like, okay, you have my attention. You said the greatest story. All right. He goes, I'm on a plane and I look 3 seats over and someone's reading your book that we just gave all of our team. He goes, it was awesome. It was so cool. And then we started talking and now we're networking and it was like, oh, wow. Not even reading the book made a connection. So it was pretty cool. Good.
I'm so glad. Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I really mean that. And so,
please. Thank you.
Hey, Let's do this. I'd like to pivot now to the Sales Arbiter 7, if you're okay with that.
What's that?
I'm kidding. Okay. So this is the part that all of our, listeners just love. And so I based it on, on the questions, from our friend James Lipton and, from inside the Actors Studio. And the reason being is, and I think I've said this, I've talked about this story before, at least on the podcast, but, acting or sales is like, it has a lot to, you're acting. A lot of the times you're acting in that role of sales and, and it depends. And what we do is we base a lot of our, our sales process and our sales training on DISC. And so if you're not familiar with DISC, then, we'll do a session on that sometime, DISC. But when we talk about sales, when we talk about your role with the organization, you can be, when our parents told us, like, you can be anything that you want to be, as long as you put your mind to it. What they forgot to add to the end of that phrase is, as long as you're in sales. And so I've just had an affection for movies and actors, actresses throughout the years. And I love going to the movies. It's just one of the things. It's one of my, I guess it's one of those things that I do. And I just get to release, and just kind of let go and really get involved in what's happening on the silver screen. So I've had an affection for James Lipton for a while, and I loved when he had his show. And at the end of his show, he would always ask questions, right? And so I based a lot of these questions on the James Lipton questions. And just so our audience can get to know you in maybe a different light. And I see the light bulb back there. So it kind of brings it, full circle. So let's just jump in and let me just ask you the first one. What is your favorite word, Ricky?
Compassion. Compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you talk to somebody personally and you can tell whether they have compassion for the conversation, if they're interested, if they're empathetic, if they're understanding, or are they just thinking about what they're going to say next? Or are they thinking about themselves? I think you can see compassion on people's face. And by the way, you don't have to be soft. You can still be hard. You could still be a tough person. But when you have empathy and compassion, I think that's a powerful thing. It's a powerful trait. And by the way, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. That's good. What is your least favorite word?
Can't. Can't. And goes back to what we talked about. I can't do something. I can't lose weight. I can never make enough money. You're right. I mean, I when people say that to me and we have a in-depth conversation, can't do something. You're right. And they look at me like I'm just being arrogant or sarcastic. No. I believe you. You're not a liar, are you? And like, what are you talking about? Like, you're not lying to me, are you? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? What do you mean I'm lying? Mm-hmm. Well, you say something, it's true. You can't do something. I believe you. You will win to fail based on your belief.
That's right.
It's plain and simple. I'm not here to sugarcoat it, folks. I'm not here to give you a warm, fuzzy blanket. I believe you that you cannot do something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. What else can't you do?
There we go. I love it. What's something that could make your day, Ricky?
A humble, that's a really good question. I think it's a humble feeling of accomplishment, of success, and everybody measures success differently. Mm-hmm. Is success just making somebody smile, fulfilling a client's needs, hearing somebody say thank you, and you're like, well, we did this together, so let's thank each other for our friendship, our relationship, whatever it may. I think it's a humble thank you. But I'm not looking for the thank you. A humble seeing somebody become successful based on my purpose.
That's great. All right. On the opposite side of that, what's something that could ruin your day?
Something to ruin my day is, I think it goes back to when I hear negativity, that it becomes infectious and dominating a conversation. It becomes toxic. Mm-hmm. By the way, again, I'm not saying that we're all human. We're going to have negativity. I just want to hear it once. I just want to hear the complaint once. I want to hear the problem once. I want to focus the energy that you have and the frustration you have on figuring out how to fix it. But I think toxic relationships, toxic negativity is not good.
Right. That's good. What's a sound or noise that you love?
Oh, I have two, but they're both the same.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna divide it into two categories.
Okay.
Personal and professional.
Okay.
Professional, it's easy. An applause. Applause is literally that award of, hey, we like what you just did. It's gratification. Okay. It's fulfillment. It's kind of like that acknowledgement without actually saying the words. As an entertainer, as a speaker, we love applause.
Sure.
It's not ego though. It's not ego. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's clarification of, hey, I put a lot of hard work in this, and you appreciate that. That's my professional sound that I love. The personal sound is the words and laughter of my family.
That's
the laughter of my family. Just hearing that, I don't really know what's going on, but hearing laughter of family is awesome.
Awesome. It's good. All right. So what sound or noise do you hate?
Nails on a chalkboard. And I will say nails on chalkboard because it's an irritating sound like the word can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes back to negativity, Yeah.
Yep.
See what you just did? I just heard it.
For those that are watching, you even got the chills there for a minute.
Yeah, I sure did. Just open the door.
That's great. So I know you were in comedy. I got that, but if there was a profession, other than your own, what would you have liked to attempt?
Oh boy. Well, there's two. And if you really, so can I give you two?
Yeah, you can give me as many as you want.
I probably would have been a chef because I like to cook for people. I do.
Yeah.
The second one, not that many people know. I think I'd be a rancher.
Wow.
I know that's hard to believe. I think I would own like a lot of cattle on a lot of land, and I would be, literally John Dutton on a ranch somewhere without without everything else going on in Yellowstone.
the drama.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I would not be the mafia cowboy, but I would be, yeah. I'm definitely a concrete cowboy by heart. But I used to ride a lot and I haven't ridden in probably 15 years.
That sounds like that's something you're going to have to do for yourself. We're going to have to put that one on the list this year.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll be there. That's great. It's just great. I can't thank you enough for being on. So before we go, let's make sure that those listeners and viewers, that they know how to find you. How do they find you? How do they get in touch with you? How can you, what's the best way, for them to start to connect with you and to really, just start to utilize you as a resource in your services, your organization? Go ahead and tell the listeners.
Pretty simple. Just go to the website, rickykalmon.com. It's up on the screen. If you're listening, it's RICKYKALMON.com. Everything's on the site from, mindset training programs, coaching, keynotes, virtual. Yeah, we're still doing virtual, crazy enough. Yeah, we still do them. And then, of course, my book, mobile app, podcast, all those look at all those incredible things and incredible guests that I've had in the past, including yourself, Mr. Crispin Cruz. From my first episode from, Mark Polanski, former NASA space shuttle astronaut, to you. So I absolutely love what I do. My podcast has been my fun. I want people to step back and always realize that I'm going to offer them value when we spend time together. And by the way, I'm not for everybody. I get it. There are people that are naysayers and say, I'm fine. I'm comfortable where I am. It's absolutely fine. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to sell you on yourself. I want to show people a different way of thinking so they have more success. And if they do that, wow, then I've put together the right material.
That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Ricky. And always love connecting with you. And I know that the viewers and listeners got a lot out of today's podcast. So I hope they reach out to you and make sure that they're working on the 6 inches between their ears.
That's right.
So it's just great. And so I always close like this. Folks, keep selling and have fun doing it. Thanks again, Ricky, for being on.
Crispin, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.